I remember the first time I seen Freeway. My man Melvin Butler told me, he said, hey man, listen, there's gonna be a guy come over here, and his name is Freeway Rick. So give him this bag of money right here. I said, all right, no problem. He said, he didn't tell me how the man looks. So a guy came up to the door one night, he said, hey man, Melvin there? I said, no sir, he's not. He was a little short guy. I was through the bar. He said, yeah man, Melvin told me to come over and pitch his money. And I said, what's your name, man? He said, man, my name is Freeway Rick. And I'm looking through the door. He don't look like no Freeway Rick. He look like Baby Rick. He didn't look like a guy that name was Freeway Rick. So I say, man, listen, man, I don't think you would come over here and say that you somebody that you're not. But he had a station wagon outside with lawnmowers in it.
Now, there are people who will say, well, Ms. Waters, maybe the CIA wasn't directly involved. Maybe it was just the people from Nicaragua and other places who were kind of CIA connected. Maybe they just turned their heads. Maybe they just kind of blinked and said, well, it doesn't make any difference. Whether they delivered the kilo themselves or they turned their heads while somebody else delivered it, they're just as guilty.
Well, you know, my name is Rick Ross. My mom named me Rick Ross. That's on my birth certificate. My friends call me Rick without the Y. People who just know me a little bit call me Freeway Rick. And then the media started calling me Freeway Ricky Ross. They took all of it and just stuck it all together. At first, I was a young kid like everybody else, you know, growing up in the ghetto, wanted to be a tennis player. I thought sports was going to be my way out of the hood. Didn't learn how to read or write until I was 28 years old, in prison with a life sentence. When I was 18 years old, they told me that I wasn't going to be going to college because I couldn't read or write, even though my tennis skills was up to par. My education wasn't. So I found myself kind of like crushed, you know, like all my dreams and aspirations had been put in tennis. Everything I had, I've been putting toward my tennis game because I started playing tennis late. Anyway, at 18 years old, they told me I wasn't going to college, and I just found myself kind of like in no man's land. I didn't know what I was going to do. You know what I'm saying? Here I am. I got no skills. I can't read because I was a hard worker. Don't get it twisted. I always like to work. Still love to work. You know, that's my favorite pastime. So I didn't know what I was going to do. One of my partners called me, introduced me to cocaine. I took what that day he showed me a $50 piece. I took it from there. And before I got arrested, I had days I made as much as $3 million in one day. One day, $3 million. Yeah, almost every day I made $1 million every day. Every day $1 million would go through my hands almost every single day. I had like 40 guys that was like my guys, you know, like I paid their salary every Friday. They got a salary for me every Friday, like 30, 40 guys. That's not counting the guys that we sold to. That's just the guys that I used to service the operation. How long in jail? I had an 8-year run. I had about an 8-year run, but you know, I did it different than most people. You know, I didn't go with the big cars and I didn't have a jury because I wasn't doing it to you know, to snob my nose at people. You know, a lot of people, they want to be rich so they can go around and snob their nose at everybody else, you know, and tell everybody else how bad they doing. But I wasn't doing it for that. I was doing it because I saw the lack of opportunity for not only myself, but for my friends and my family. So I was doing it so that I could create opportunities and jobs for the people that I felt deserved it. So that allowed me to avoid the cops because the cops didn't know who they was looking for. They created a task force. I had my own police force. They created a police force to catch me because I did it the way I did it. They couldn't figure out who I was. I didn't look like, I didn't fit the normal. You know, I'd never been arrested. You know, I didn't fit the normal normal criteria of what a drug dealer was. I've been enraged, like, where our park, we played basketball every day in the park. That was like my hangout. Go to the park, shoot ball, sell dope from the park. They surrounded the whole park. The whole park was surrounded. Mm-hmm. They let me walk past. But in the beginning, there was no addiction. You know, we didn't see addiction. See, when I first started, it was doctors, lawyers, entertainers. Poor people didn't get high on cocaine. A gram of cocaine, when I first started, was like $300 for 1 gram. Okay. Not like it is right now, you know, where anybody can afford it. It wasn't affordable then. It was only elite that was getting high. I didn't see people sleeping on the street. I didn't see women prostituting. That came later on. And remember when I started, crack was just starting. It wasn't like there was a lot of history of crack and what crack could do and how addictive it was. We didn't have none of that. So when I got started, I thought it was like how they smoke weed right now. You know, just recreational. You know, everybody do it. Or matter of fact, when I started, the people would smoke would get the cocaine, would be going out to a party. We going partying tonight. We gonna get blitzed. Going to work in the morning. I need a hit before I go to work. You know, we thought it was a way to celebrate, to have fun. We didn't know that it was as addictive as we know it is right now today. You know, this is a different time. I quit about 1.5 years before I got arrested. Feds can go back 7 years. Normally they go back 5 years. But if you're somebody they really, really want, they can go back 7 years. They can get special permission and all kind of stuff to extend it an extra 2 years. So I'd already quit. I had started thinking about quitting about 2 years before I actually quit, because I started to see the contradiction in myself. You know, oh, I don't want my girlfriend to get high. I don't want my brother to get high. I don't want my aunt to get high. But like you said earlier, I'm selling dope to everybody. So I wrestled with those things, and it took a while. You know, it wasn't something that because, you know, I'm always rationalizing, you know, why I'm doing what I'm doing. Or if I don't do it, somebody else will. You know, I might as well get the money. So you know, when you rationing like that, then you can do whatever. But it took me a while before I actually came to my senses and say, you know what, this dope game ain't no game for. Because jail don't stop nobody from selling dope. I'm gonna tell you right now, guys are selling more dope in jail than they sold on the street. They got dope in the jailhouse. The penitentiary is just like the streets. They're not making no $1 million a day, but I'm saying they do real good to be in jail. You know, where they can send $20,000, $30,000 a month home to their old lady if they want to. When I first went to the penitentiary, because I went to a maximum security penitentiary, they put me in the hold. The hold is where you're in a cell by yourself, no inmate conduct. Because you only get out, you only get a shower 3 days a week. Oh, you stand in your cell because this is what they call classification. Because when you go to a penitentiary, they gotta check you out before they let you on the compound. Mm-hmm. You know, to make sure that you ain't got no enemies, that you ain't no snitch, all that stuff. They run all that because they put you on the compound and you got a jacket or something, you could get hurt. Mm-hmm. So for your first week or 2 weeks, some people stay in there a month, but I stay in there a week. A dude OD right down the cell from me on heroin in a maximum security inside the hole. So dope is definitely inside our penitentiaries. I mean, they can't stop drugs from coming in. You know, for all that, the war on drugs and all that, I don't believe in none of that, because if they can't keep drugs out the maximum security penitentiaries, there's no way they're gonna be able to keep it from coming across our borders. I have a vision of one day where they could have a mountain of drugs inside the park, and the kids would walk by and say, "Look, some dumb motherfucker left cocaine here at the park." You know, I was building houses and stuff. You know, I was building I was building these apartments because I always thought I was still, even though I had got out the game, I still felt like I was going to jail. I never felt that I shouldn't go to jail, you know, because I'm a conscious person. I feel like if you do a crime, you should pay the price, and that's how I felt. So I always felt that I was gonna go to jail for what I did. So one day we working on an apartment building, and next thing we know, cops just swooped up and started busting, bang, 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 bang. Shot at me about 4 or 5 times. Luckily, I didn't get hit. But these cops had the name of their task force was the Freeway Rick Ross task force, and they was dirty too because they was planting drugs, you know, because I had come up with some schemes of how not to get caught with drugs that it was almost impossible for them to catch me with drugs. They was really gonna have to work really, really hard to catch me with some drugs because I didn't have drugs. I may have had drugs in my possession at the most time, maybe like an hour and a half. And that was like, what I did is I figured out what time the cops was raiding, and usually they raid like 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, catch everybody sleep. So when I figured that out, I said, okay, when we do what we're gonna do with our drugs, we're gonna do it like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So by the time the cops get ready to raid, we done. And the drugs be put in a stash. So it was almost impossible for them to catch me with drugs. So what they did is they started planting drugs and lying on the witness stand and so forth. Man, when you go to jail, they put in the newspaper, you getting a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Everybody go like, boom, you know, they flee like roaches from raid. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody hanging around. And when you in there, you can't take that money in there with you. You know, you can't put it in the bag and say, this is my money, I'm gonna hold on to it. You gotta leave it with somebody. And you know, everybody usually abandon you. When I first went down, my phone bills used to be $8,000 a month for a phone bill, you know, because they had me in a single man cell, but they had a telephone in my cell. So, you know, I lay on the phone and talk to my girls all day, you know, one after another one. You know, just stay on the phone, talking to them, trying to babysit them, make sure they ain't going out doing whatever, you know, they do, you know. So my phone bill used to be crazy, you know. Every one of them phone bill, you know, 4,000, 3,000. And you know, when you're in the joint, they charge you these absorbent rates, you know, per minute on the phone. I think when I was in there then, it was like 75 cents a minute, you know, for a phone call. So them phone bills go up quick. I did 20 years, total of 2 bits. I did 2 bits, 20 years, 6 months in between. I got out. Yeah. I got on my first bit. You know, the cops that I was telling you about that was planting the drugs and doing all that stuff, they got indicted. You know, I got them indicted and got a break. When I get out, my drug supplier, who was my partner, supposed to be my partner, had turned into an informant. And he was sweating me about helping him. He had got stuck with 700 kilos of cocaine, and he needed to do something with him. So he talked me into introducing him to one of my young homies that was still in the game, and they got me for aiding and abetting the deal. I introduced them. I gave them each other's phone number, and they consider that as facilitating a drug crime. Like, a lot of people don't really understand how conspiracy works and how easy it is to get caught up in a conspiracy. But it's as simple as if I'm getting ready to do a drug deal and I come to you and I say, hey, D, let me use your ride. I'm finna go pick up these 10 kilos of cocaine. And you throw me the keys, you just aided and abetted me in doing them 10 kilos. But anyway, you assist them in doing that crime, you can be charged with the same thing they being charged with. I got a life sentence for that. In the house, guess what? I'm with my man, Mixmaster Ken, one of the pioneers of West Coast hip hop. You already know. Do your history. Go do your homework. Get your shit right.
That's right.
Too often we don't do no studying. When you do some studying, you get some money.
My homeboy Eddie Pope.
That's why I'm in the dispensaries right now.
That's right.
Do your homework. Do your homework. Check out LA Kingpin. If you smoke weed, smoke LA Kingpin. Cause it's your man's brand.
That's what's up.
Guess who it is? This your man. Letting y'all know, January the 26th, because that's the date, is gonna be the grand opening for my dispensary. It's also gonna be my birthday. So I'm looking forward to all y'all coming out and